Starting off, I'm going to be applying a barrier cream. Barrier creams are so important when doing these heavy duty makeup, guys. Please do not forget it. I'm taking liquid latex, pouring a little bit of that in a bowl, and then I'm going to be applying that to my forehead. I'm just doing a good old-fashioned stretch and stipple technique here. I don't have much forehead to stretch because I have like serious Botox forehead, but I'm stretching it and then blow drying it, letting it dry, because when this is released, then it gives your forehead some texture, a little bit wrinkly, makes you look a little bit aged, a little bit old. This is a technique that you will use if you ever do a liquid latex aging. The more skin you have on your forehead to work with, the larger your creases will be on your forehead, but this is what mine turned out like. I am taking liquid latex and doing an entire layer over my entire face. This isn't necessary, but this is my base layer and it's kind of like a shield. Next, I'm working with some good old-fashioned Quaker Oats. I'm pouring that with some liquid latex and then applying that to my skin. This just adds a nice texture to the skin. It's disgusting. Next, with a little bit of thickened Prosade or Bondo, I'm creating a wound on my face. I'm not making this perfect whatsoever, but the complete opposite. If you wanted to blend the edges out perfectly, you totally can with a water-soaked sponge, but I want it to look really gory and nasty and like someone just took a chunk out of my cheek or like I'm decaying, so I'm just making it disgusting. I also put a little bit in the center, and now I'm going to go in with some Uncle Ben's rice, and I'm applying that rice right in the center of that wound just for some cool texture. I wanted my nose to look like it was decaying, like it was rotting off of my face. So I went in with a little bit more Bondo and placed that right where the bridge of my nose would be. And now with some tissue, I'm ripping that to fit my nose. I'm placing that down, and then I'm taking a little bit of liquid latex and placing that on top. I'm doing this because I want to give my nose, the nostril like area of my nose that would be exposed essentially, a little bit more texture instead of having it completely smooth. I also decided to go around my face once more with a little bit more liquid latex, apply some layers, and then pull at it and prod at it. This just gives a little bit, something to look at. Like I have some open wounds around my face, so I did that along my chin, side of my face, and I also went over my eyebrows with a little bit of liquid latex. And here I'm just, with a spatula, I'm taking that on the Bondo and just stretching that to make it look like pulled skin. I'm kind of doing the same thing all down my neck, just adding liquid latex, some of that oatmeal mixture, making it look really disgusting and like decayed. I also went in and applied some of that oatmeal mixture over one of my eyebrows. You could totally cover your eyebrows if you wanted to for a look like this, but I thought I'm gonna have hair on my head, I may as well have some hair on my eyebrows. I blow dried my whole face and added some creepy white contacts. Because we're working with latex, we do need to set it with a powder. I'm just going in with the Celebre loose powder. This isn't a translucent powder. It has a color to it. I find that translucent powder, you can sometimes look ashy, so I went in with a colored one. We mustn't forget the lips, so I'm applying some liquid latex over there, pulling at it to give it some texture. Then I'm applying one more layer, and notice how my mouth is open. This is kind of the same idea as my forehead. If you stretch out the area, blow dry it, then powder it, and then let it go, it's gonna act, it's gonna look wrinkly. And I wanted my lips to look like I was really old and they had some creases in them. Some of the reference photos for zombies that I took a look at, their mouth is always, like wrinkled and decayed and like sunken in. And this made it come to life. Onto the color. For the foundation, I mixed a Revlon Color Stay in the lightest shade, and then I also mixed that with like a lavender primer. It's like super pigment and it's very, very, very light. Since I am so fair, this is what worked for me. Maybe just look very light and bright. My BFF for this entire tutorial was the Makeup Forever Flash palette. If you're new to special effects and you're wanting to invest in something, this is an amazing palette to invest in. The colors go so far. I'm taking the black and I'm pretty well like almost dry brushing it on. It almost looks like I'm even using a powder. I'm just hollowing out my face wherever I think that I would hollow out if I ever turned into a zombie. That's where I'm placing the black. Almost think of a skull. If you need a reference photo, look at a skull, and wherever it's sunken in, that is where you want to put the dark color. When I am contouring this into my face, I am going over with that stippling brush that I used to put my foundation on, just to set it back a little and make it look like my actual anatomy, not just like I'm putting a color over top of a foundation. Because I put it in a contour, I also need a highlight, so I went into the white and I just popped this on some areas of my face that would like not pop out if I was a zombie, but the rest of my face would sink in, so these parts would stand out. So my cheekbones, you know, my brow bone, that kind of thing. I also popped a little bit of that right underneath my waterline. Now to make this look a little disgusting, in this palette I took the green, the brown, and the yellow, mixed it together to get this disgusting color, took a sponge, ripped it apart so it didn't have a flat surface, and stippled that onto my face. The reason it looks so thin here is because I cut that cream with 99% alcohol. If you have any cream makeups and you want them to go on more like a watercolor, spray a little 99% alcohol on there and it'll cut it down and thin it out. Applied a little bit more black onto my eyelids and just around my face wherever I thought it was necessary to add a little bit more depth and, you know, almost like I was mimicking kind of like dirt on my face. I want this to look like I'm a disgusting zombie that's been chewing on gnarly like flesh all day and just like living it rough out in the bush. One of the glories about a zombie makeup is there aren't really any rules to it. You just kind of place anything anywhere until it looks absolutely disgusting, and that's what I did for this. I'm taking my alcohol palettes that are activated with 99% alcohol. I'm using the more bloody shades and then the black as well to paint in my face a bit. I just honestly put this wherever I thought that there would be an open wound, some blood, just anywhere. And like I said again with the cream makeup, if you want to thin this out a little bit, spray some alcohol in it, and that's what I did. You'll see here in a bit. I put some on my neck and then I gave it a good spray, and it kind of just blends it all together. It makes it look like you're not just placing color down, but rather you're like, it looks like real, and I love that. I think it's here. Yeah, I spray the alcohol and it just like sits in there so beautifully and like it's actually there. I needed a bit of something with this, so I took a little bit of black and colored in some of the contours of my eyes wherever I would feel like my skin would sink in a little bit, and almost like I was drawing in a little bit of wrinkles. I did the same thing on my lips as well. Now for the blood. I'm taking this scab blood, and I love this stuff. This is my favorite blood to work with just because it honestly looks real. Like, you don't really have to do an effect. You can create a border and put this in the middle and it makes it look like oh dang, like I scraped myself. But with this, it wasn't sticking to my skin, and it was so difficult to put down. So I tried my darnest with it. I also love the color of that, and if you can make this work on top of latex, go for it. But it wasn't working for me, so I switched to the FX blood by Cinema Secrets. This is more liquidy blood, and I just took this and I put this everywhere. The one thing I don't like about this blood, specifically for this makeup, is because this blood is so bright. It's like fresh blood, which kind of contradicts the fact that this zombie is like an old rotting decay zombie. But it could be that some of this blood just came from my most recent victim. I packed a ton of this around my mouth, and what I did for mainly around my face was I wanted to make this makeup look like it was in the moment, like I had just torn into, you know, someone or something. So I made the blood look very splattered, very splashed on, like I just, like, you know, it just splashed on my face. It was very in the moment. After I loaded the blood on, I went into my Suva palette and took the matte black shade. This is so pigmented, and I just hollowed out some of the areas of my face again and added some around my face just to kind of make me look a little bit dirtier. I just thought it needed something like that. I went back in with the blood, like I just went back and forth between products just to perfect this and kind of make it look more realistic. For the hair, if you want your hair to look absolutely disgusting all night, take some conditioner. I used a lot of conditioner for this, and rub it in your hair and it'll make it look greasy and disgusting. I also messed up my part a little bit, so it made it look a little more real, and I just thought this made it look so gross. So, and you know, you're gonna look gross, but that's fine. I also applied a little bit more blood and like dirt to my forehead, and then I actually took this fake dirt, and what I do is I take it on a baby wipe, I rub it together, and then I rub that wherever I feel like I needed dirt. This is just how I apply it because I find that you get the most realistic application when you do it that way. I also took some more blood and put a whole bunch on my chest to kind of make it mimic a big cut there. That's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in my next one.